Senate on Thursday directed the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike to immediately halt all ongoing property demolitions in Abuja. This resolution followed concerns over alleged irregularities and hardships caused by the demolitions. In addition, the Senate summoned the minister to appear before an ad hoc committee formed to investigate the demolition activities. The committee, chaired by Deputy Senate President Senator Jibrin Barau, has been given 2 weeks to submit its findings. The decision was prompted by a motion raised by Senator Ireti Kingibe during plenary, which was seconded by Senator Natasha Akpabio Udong. While reading the resolution, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio emphasized the importance of halting demolitions until proper investigations are conducted. In her lead debate, Senator Kingibe raised concerns about the demolition exercise, noting it often deviated from due process. She argued that affected individuals had suffered immense losses due to demolitions that appeared unjustified. She specifically highlighted the ongoing revocation and demolition of Mr. Polosa Estate, chaired by the late Colonel Paul Osakpawan Ogbegbo. According to her, the land had been properly allocated to him in 1984 with all requisite documentation. She urged the Senate to resolve that demolitions should only proceed in line with due process and called for an investigation into the matter. The Senate resolved to urge the FCT minister to halt further demolitions and tasked the ad hoc committee to ensure a thorough investigation. Meanwhile, Wike on Thursday stated that his administration will not be blackmailed by allegations of land grabbing in the discharge of its duties. The minister, speaking at the handover of 50 operational vehicles to security agencies in the FCT, insisted that the FCT administration will not overlook land contraventions by anyone, irrespective of who they are. A controversial social media influencer and critic, Martins Vincent Ote, popularly known as Very Dark Man, had accused the FCT minister of revoking land titles belonging to Polosa Nigeria Limited and reallocating it to Saravera Nigeria Limited and the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Kingsley Chinda. Wike said, in spite of social media critics accusing him of giving out lands to his kinsman, he will not be deterred in doing what was best for the FCT. The minister also warned those who owed ground rent in the FCT to pay up or risk their titles being revoked.
All right, we're glad to have you back. Now I have with me here, I have Madunago Chukwuemeka, who is an editor of Metro Star newspaper. Thank you so much for being here this time.
Yes, my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, so just as we've seen in the report, I mean the demolition exercise that has been ongoing in Abuja is a well-known activity, and recently the Senate, Thursday to be precise, the Senate had directed that the Federal Capital Territory Minister, which is Nyesom Wike, to immediately halt all ongoing property demolition in Abuja. But first off, what do you think about the whole demolition exercise? Because I mean, part of why the Senate came up with this was, you know, worries and concerns that came up about irregularities that, you know, the whole exercise had, and then, you know, the hardship as well that it caused. Although the minister himself, you know, had his own point to back it. But first of all, let me just get a reaction. How the whole, you know, demolition exercise and the minister trying to fix up the FCT. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much. Hello, viewer. Well, interestingly, this matter has come to public view. The minister, you know, has been accused before now of, you know, taking actions that were to the detriment of owners of properties, you know, long-standing owners of properties in the Federal Capital Territory. And there had been appeals to him to halt these exercises. It's sad that Abuja, that the FCT, Federal Capital Territory Abuja, has become notorious for, serial demolitions. It's such a scary thing that, I, for one, if I'm giving a property free in Abuja, I will not take it. If I'm giving it, I will not take it, yes. Because I don't know why every minister must demolish properties in Abuja. I mean, if that was the way governors across the country were demolishing properties, if the FCT is a federal territory. Now there are some federal, housing estates around the country. So if that was how the federal government had been demolishing properties all over the country, then how many of us would be living in houses? We can as well relocate to the forest now and to caves. Yes. You see, housing is a right. It's a right to life. Right to own property is enshrined in the Constitution. It's enshrined in various treaties and charters to which Nigeria is a signatory. So when every minister feels he must demolish properties, and we end up with accusations of these ministers reallocating such revoked, demolished properties to their cronies, then it calls into question their sense of patriotism. It calls into question, how honest they are in their dealings in that office, because some will tell you they are preserving green areas, but at the end of the day, you see that their cronies have been allocated lands in those green areas. They give all kinds of excuses. Now, look at this instant case. The family of the late Colonel Paul Osa, saying that he got this land over 40 years ago. The minister is claiming that they were just a construction company and that they lost right to the land. How? I mean, when you look at some of these claims, they just make you wonder. That they didn't pay ground rent. They didn't. Look, some of these things just show how much people in government in Nigeria, how they wield power, how they, tend to abuse power. All these things are just procedural. That people didn't pay ground rent. You just heard the federal government, they just issued a notice that those, those persons occupying, federal government estates in Lagos should pay their ground rents. That's a normal procedure. The Land Use Act actually spells out, procedures for doing all these things. But you just wake up, you just, revoke the right of occupancy, and then you quickly reallocate it. It's not done like that. If it was so easy to get certificates of occupancy, I know a lot of people in different states, who have not been able to get certificates of occupancy for some years. It's also, if it's so easy to quickly, reallocate land, allocate a right of occupancy, then allocate a certificate of occupancy, then all of us will own a certificate of occupancy. And of course, the minister saying that if you like, be a television talker, if you like, be an... Look, you see, it's easy to make light, to make mockery of the efforts that, public commentators make, until you get into a situation where you will need those public commentators. Look at this family. Their father was a colonel in the Nigerian army. Now they had to run to a very dark black man, a social activist. You can imagine. The family of a retired colonel who died, unfortunately, in the COVID. So that tells you that those in office today, because you are putting on one uniform or the other, because you occupy one office or the other, because you have money, you have influence, you have people in government, you have people in the security services, who can do your bidding. Just remember that years down the line, when you will not be, you may be too old to do anything, or you may be dead. Just remember too that what then it will be a classic case of what goes around coming around. So in this instant case, I think the minister should also be cautious. He should be also conscious about his legacy. This brashness, let heavens fall out. No. If heavens fall, you will also be crushed. When people say certain things, let's be mindful of the consequences.
But you know, the funny thing about this is the fact that the person in question is one of those ministers that, you know, has received a whole lot of applause. You know, people saying, he's doing a lot, you know, he's working, he's fixing up the FCT.
Who is not working? Listen, sorry to cut you, who is not working? You know, we get too carried away by ordinary public work. Somebody is doing roads, he's working. Somebody is paying salary, he's working. Somebody is paying pensions, he's working. Somebody is, what is it? He's working. Go and check things like Human Development Index. What's the per capita income in that place? How many people were moved away from poverty? How many families can afford, you know, have left that level, you know, where they depend on $2 a day. You know, $2, by the way, now is about $3,500. How many families can even afford, you know, to feed on $3,500 in a day? I'm not talking of individuals, I'm talking of families. So, we should look at Human Development Index, not all these public works. That should be the responsibility of the Ministry of Works or the Department of Works, as the case may be, even at local government level. So, but when you say somebody is working and what the person is doing is roads, thank you very much, you know, for doing roads. But let me tell you something. Individuals are constructing roads. Individuals are constructing schools, constructing hospitals. Individuals are constructing water projects, reticulating water, taking water to people's houses. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. What we want, what we desire is that we should have an environment that people are proud of, you know, staying in. A situation where you have so many people doing everything, selling their properties because they want to run away from Nigeria doesn't speak well. A situation where, you know, universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and monotechnics are churning out, you know, thousands of graduates every year, churning out so many first class graduates without a hope of where to get jobs. And you say people are working. I wonder what kind of work are they doing? A situation where pensioners are being owed for months. The FCT minister was saying at an event, you know, that what the commission is about 13 to 14 billion. There is not enough to pay salaries and do other things. I thought people should rather judge him on how has he been able to expand the revenue, the internally generated revenue base, you know, of the FCT, you know, that, and then the rule of law, in implementing the rule of law, that's another aspect. When you say somebody is working, how have you been able to implement the rule of law such that people feel confident to come and invest, to come and build a factory, to come and build factories, to come and set up farms, to set up businesses, to employ people? Not that somebody sets up a factory and then some people come from one, you know, from one office and just bring one charge. That's also happened. And quickly they shut the factory. Or even in the same Abuja, somebody's poultry. A person borrowed millions to set up, was demolished. When you do things like this, you say, why are Nigerians running away from Nigeria? Why won't they run away from Nigeria? Why won't people speak ill of Nigeria? Why won't people regret being Nigerians? It is not because the ground on which we walk is, you know, has disappeared and there's nowhere for it. It's because individuals who have the responsibility of protecting the interests of Nigerians have allowed, you know, that power. They become so power drunk that they now, you know, make a mess of the entire society. And so people are not confident to be called Nigerians. Even your Nigerian passport, you are likely to be embarrassed, you know, at any airport around outside the country. What does that say? Passport is a symbol of your citizenship. It's a symbol of the strength of a nation. Passport is not strong. Is it the naira that has been, you know, devalued so badly? And they said they were looking for naira to find its value. Now naira has found its value to the extent that the CFA has become stronger than the naira.
Naira.
Sefa that used to lag behind the naira has now overtaken the naira. So when we look at all of these things, I'm happy that the Senate has said that it will look into the matter. You know, now you don't just go demolishing properties, and then the House of Representatives should also investigate the alleged involvement of his members. You know, yes, it's okay when the minister says that, you know, we will give land to people who are ready to pay. Well, that's all right. But remember, 40 years ago, when Colonel Paul Ubebo got that land, he was able to pay whatever. In fact, his widow was saying that the children had already raised 10 million naira. They wanted to get the titles regularized. But they were being told the file is with the minister. Far back, many years ago, they've had the money. The people you are rushing to give these properties to because you believe they have the money today. What of tomorrow? What if they don't have the money? We must always carry out policies with a human face. Because after all, Nigeria belongs to all of us. We don't have, for many of us, we don't have any second country. Many politicians have, you know, yeah, they have dual citizenship. They hold the passport of, you know, they hold dual citizenship. So, if you know, Nigeria no longer works to subsidize their humongous appetite, they can move to another country, yes. But for many of us, Nigeria is the only country we have. So there must be a human face, you know. There should be empathy in applying some of these things. And look at it, in the midst of an economic crisis. The economy is harsh right now. You are telling people to pay ground rent. Yes, it's necessary. I support that, you know, governmental agencies should actually do their best to expand their revenue base. But in doing that, there should also be provisions, you know, maybe part payment, you know. There should be provisions for staggered payment for people who cannot afford it. But to say, if you don't pay, we throw you out. You are denying, it's like you are just tying them to the stake and shooting them. Because when you deny a man or a woman the right to property, it's like you are denying the person the right to life. And that is unacceptable. So I will appeal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, to temper justice with mercy. Take it easy. Don't this brashness. Remember, there's a legacy. That is the problem. The people in government in Nigeria don't remember. Legacy. Your children, your grandchildren will bear the brunt of whatever you're doing today. Don't say it doesn't matter. You don't give a damn. You're not God. You don't know what the future holds. If the family of Colonel Bebo, if their father had trampled on the rights of Nigerians and said, I don't give a damn, look at what is happening today. Look at what is happening to them today. We must be very careful. We must be very careful. When we have power, we must be very careful. It's easy, yes, to, you know, use power. Yes, but remember, legacy matters. What will be written about you 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now? Will be written about you. After all, is it not land? Is it not land? I mean, all of us have a right to own land. What are you doing, you know, about the situation? You are giving your own side of the story. The family gave their own side of the story. Then the Senate has come in. You are still saying you don't care. That you go ahead. Let heavens fall. Come on.
Okay. So
you can't be a prosecutor and judge, you know, in your own case. No, you can't be prosecutor, jury, and judge in your own case.
Okay, so looking at it from an angle, I mean, most of the estates, especially that were demolished, and we're talking about like 100 homes, you know, that were taken out, and families were displaced and all. Most of them actually came out to state that they had that document. But we've also seen the minister say that some of these documents are actually fake documents, and he had actually accepted the fact that these documents were actually forged from the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Now, my point is, since these documents were actually given or forged from the ministry itself, from the
area
exactly. Shouldn't the persons responsible for, you know, this whole act, shouldn't they also, you know, be in a way punished? Instead of just, you know, pouring out the whole, will I say, punishment also on the buyers of those lands?
You see, that is the minister's own side of the story. The people have issued their own side of the story. Area councils or local governments have the statutory right to issue right of occupancy. So when you say they were forced, what I'm asking is that, are you saying that the local governments, you know, they lacked the official capacity to issue those documents? One. Two, you've seen buildings that have collapsed all over the place. Is there anybody, can you mention one person who has been jailed? The collapse of any building, not even if it's a shanty somewhere. Nobody. We hear, okay, people, they forge documents to get this. Who has been prosecuted? Why is there always a horror? You know, the Land Use Act, you see, the problem is just many of our people in government are drunk with power. They don't want to follow the due process. And then when they leave office, and this same treatment is meted to them, they cry out. They go to the same media, they vilify. They go to the same media to say, look at my rights have been, you know, trampled upon. If you say, the Land Use Act spells out the processes of revoking, you know, the right of occupancy. It spells it out. And there are steps. You have to give notice, and to publish notice, you have to do this, do this, do this. And more often than not, when the people concerned have gone to court, why are you in a hurry? It's everywhere. So many states in Nigeria and the FCT are in violation of the provisions of the Land Use Act. When there are steps, if people have gone to court, why are you in a hurry to demolish? Why are you in a hurry to demolish their properties? Do you know? You see, we say the economy is not improving. Why will the economy improve? When people put down billions of naira property development, and you demolish it. Do you know there are people who maybe have died in the process? Maybe had stroke or heart attack or fallen ill and died in the process. We don't have a society that prioritizes justice, which is very sad. You know, so more like, you know, it's a society of crabs where we trample on, you know, each other, you know, in the bid to assert power. Now, if those in government are vigilant enough, if they exercise their, you know, powers of oversight, because that's why the Constitution gives power. But you pretend as if the government is you know, so weak, the government is powerless, that it can just sit and be sleeping while people just go and occupy property. No. What you're talking about is failure of governance. If the government at all levels, you know, if we have vigilance and due oversight, you will find out that governments, you know, you have the Abuja Geographical Information Service, you know, that says it has mapped out all the lands in the FCT. So definitely, you have the area councils. You have local government officials who move around. So somebody cannot just, people don't just fall from the sky and start playing. You have people who sell sand. You have people who sell cement, who sell roads. If they are duly registered with you, before any project, before they accept to participate in any project, they will ask the person, please, can we see your approval to start this project? Because we don't want to be arrested for working on a site illegally. If we start with that, yes, I know government can be everywhere, but government can be in almost everywhere through the citizens. That is why you have citizen participation, citizen engagement. So if you have a pact with, the people, who work artisans, construction companies and all of that, that okay, before you go do any work, ask the person for approval. It's a major work. Has to do with maybe digging foundation and all of that. Ask for approval. Some states are doing it. Now you go to some sites, you see a building that's almost got to the end. You just see Mark X. Yeah. You now wonder, where were these people?
Why all the go this far?
The building has not even decked, roofed, plastered. There was one, I saw this, I was just wondering. It's not as if these people were working in the night. Or maybe, is it possible to set up a whole building in the night, roof it? It's not possible now. The cement has to dry. You have to lay the blocks and all of that. But you now mark X. Then, because we allow impunity on the part of the government and the part of the citizens, then those who set out to break the law, what do? They go to such offices, land offices, in different places in the country. And then there are allegations that they compromise officials. Then they come back, clean up the X and continue with business as usual. So, in order to mitigate, in order to deal with this, you must have a partnership with the citizens. You should hold town halls with the citizens, regular engagement with the citizens. Because mainly sending out task forces to go here and there. How many places do they want to monitor? Before the fuel runs out, now they see that the fuel in their vehicle, they'll go back now, they'll close for one. Yes, now, they're not human beings. But if you have a partnership with the citizens, and maybe you have toll-free lines, for anonymous information, that look at somebody is constructing something here, we don't know if the person has got approval. Just like when you're driving on the road and you come across the VIO, Vehicle Inspection Officers, especially in Lagos State, they have a way of, sending a message to a code, using a code, and then they want to find out if the driver's license, is current, is still valid, or, if the particulars of a vehicle are valid. They have a way of, the insurance and all, they have a way of doing it. Yeah. And now that will save, a lot of man hours wasted on argument. No, this is right. No, this is wrong. Because the society where the rule of law is not upheld, there's a tendency for the leaders and the led, the people, the citizens, to engage in impunity, to treat the laws, with levity. So there must be that delicate balance, And I think I would appeal to Nyesom Wike to also, which one is easier? People who have been there for 40 years, you see they are going ground rent. Give them time now. When did they become a minister? Give them time now to regularize. You said you were a construction site. They were, yes, we agree, they were this or that. But they have expressed interest to own the place permanently. There was also the allegation that they were selling out the place. Look, why don't we stop criminalizing simple issues? Weaponizing power against citizens. Since they've expressed interest in occupying the place permanently, then enter into a dialogue with them. And okay, you want to occupy this place permanently. All right, you are owing ground rent. This, and this, and this. And the family says, no, we have so documents because blah, 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 blah. This is what happened. Then be an impartial arbiter. But a situation where the place was allegedly reallocated to somebody said to have ties with you, come on. Then that totally destroys whatever case you have. Government officials should avoid personal interest. Because this is actually criminal offenses. It's not because we don't take this thing seriously in Nigeria. I'm telling you, you can't try that in China. You can't try that in many countries of the world. You can't. Why should your personal interest stand ahead of the interest of the state? No, now you are not Queen. Is it Queen? Is it Napoleon Bonaparte? No, Alexander the Great, who said, "I am the state, and the state it's me, you know. I mean, you're not the state. That is why we have institutions of state. And that is why we say we should not have strong men. We should have strong institutions such that, you know, these strong institutions can mediate between the leaders and the people. Now, if anybody is in breach of any law, you know, then there should be, you know, steps. In fact, there are also steps within the law, because we think that when somebody, okay, you know, I mean, sometimes you hear some, you know, poorly educated, you know, government officials, they'll tell you, yes, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And I say, go and check that law. The law recognizes that I can make an honest mistake. How about that? An honest mistake. Yes. So, what do you have to say about it? You are not the law. You are not the judge. You are not to interpret the law. Why are you so eager to, you know, list out when you are not the law? Yours is maybe to make an arrest and then hand over to the prosecutor, hand over to the court. So, even when somebody is charged to court, we as Nigerians must also stop this, you know, tendency to judge people guilty, you know, before the court makes a pronouncement. Oh, somebody did, oh, we just quickly pronounce judgment. No. According to Nigerian law, every accused person, every suspect is innocent until proven guilty. Now, always remember that the fact that it is that man or that woman that is, you know, a suspect today doesn't mean that you cannot be in that position tomorrow. That is why you see every coin has three sides. This side, and the other side. Side for the state, this side for the citizens, and the middle for justice. So when the wheels of justice, you know, roll, it is to ensure that even offenders can be rehabilitated. That was why we got to a point in Nigeria where we changed we stopped calling penitentiary, we stopped calling them prisons. We started calling them correctional centers. But even the people manning those places need reorientation, you know, because the fact that somebody committed an offense, there is the state also looks at the possibility that this person can be rehabilitated. So if you say people are in violation of FCT's rules in terms of property ownership, also look at it, that it is possible. Emotional intelligence should dictate that it is possible that this situation can be remedied. You might think, oh, it's only about the punitive measures, which is what you see many people in government often look at. The punitive will punish you, will demolish your house, we will do this and that. At the end of the day, have you served the cause of justice? Have you given possibility of that person being rehabilitated, of that matter being you know, remedied? Have you given the possibility that this person can actually turn around tomorrow to be a better citizen and a defender of the values that the nation or that society holds dearly? Or do we prefer the mob mentality, thief, 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 and you just hold the person, lynch the person, put a tire on the person, pour petrol, burn the person to ashes, without even hearing the other side? In the law, it says, all the pattern, you must hear the other side. It's in the Constitution. Hear the other side. So, all in all, I think this matter, the Senate should be impartial. The House of Representatives should also investigate the alleged involvement of its member, so that, you see, let us show, we are looking for foreign investors, let's show them that in our country, we respect the rule of law.
Yes. All right, with that being